Hi, my name's Steve. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, about my life and where I've been in life and what brought me to faith in Jesus Christ. Long story short, I was a very, very lost soul, very lost individual from a very early age. Mental health problems were underlying and developing from probably the age of 3 or 4. At which time I also started experiencing paranormal activity, seeing spirits and other strange things. As I got a bit older, I got into Ouija boards and later on got into cards and rune stones and crystals, and that's a testimony all on its own, really. Age 14, I discovered drink and lighter gas and cannabis, which I did recreationally for about 3 years. Then age 17, I discovered drugs big time. Started with LSD, and basically the drugs that I took brought out my mental health problems pretty full blown. I've had multiple diagnoses, literally multiple diagnoses over the years. I was put on medication aged 17, 18. I was put on medication, but I didn't stop the drugs. I carried on taking various drugs and copious amounts of them, including abusing my medication. Progressed onto needles and cocaine, crack, heroin, name it, I did it really. All the while I was struggling with my sexuality. While I did like girls when I was at school, as I reached adolescence I turned to men. But because of my insecurity and because of my sort of inbuilt loneliness, really, I was very insecure and I was looking for love, really. But I was looking in all the wrong places because I never found anything except bad treatment and unhealthy relationships, codependent relationships. As I got older, I got more and more sucked into the drugs and the occult and my mental health, and everything just spiraled ever downwards from the age of 17 up until the age of about 33. I carried on with this lifestyle, increased the amount of drugs that I was taking, and my mental health deteriorated very badly. But basically, I was just a train wreck. I was a disaster waiting to happen. All this reached a head after I gave up drugs. I decided the only way I was going to give up drugs and sort myself out and not kill myself with them was by facing up to the issues that were underlying. I bit off more than I could chew. It was a lot harder than I thought, and basically 6 months later ended up attempting suicide. I should have died that night. There's no logical way that I should have survived. Without wanting to be too graphic, I cut down to the tendons. You could see the tendons through my skin, but it just wouldn't bleed. And I firmly believe that's because 6 nights earlier I had renounced the occult for Jesus Christ, because the occult turned very nasty on me, very satanic, and I knew I needed to get out. So I turned to Jesus Christ as Saviour after a small hesitation. It was horrendous. It was horrendous at first, if I'm honest. It was very, very difficult, because like I said, 6 nights after accepting Christ as Saviour, I just felt so bad. I attempted suicide. In fact, I even think I forgot that I'd asked Jesus to save me, and I just gave up. But I survived that. 6 weeks after that, my mother passed away. But long story short, I've spent the last 2 years rebuilding my life with the power of Christ, with my faith. Struggled for a long time to get to grips with it, but 2 years down the line, and I'm so glad my suicide attempt didn't work, For the first time in my life, I'm finding happiness and joy and peace. My physical health is pretty much perfect by some miracle. My faith is deepening every day. I even have people describing me as normal now, which I've never had, God's been very good to me, even though my life was very lost and I was so desperately sinful. The Lord's forgiven me, and He's brought me into His family, and He's making me whole. And I would recommend Jesus Christ as Saviour to anyone. God bless you.